Have you ever been so impacted by something that it leaves no doubt as to what helped shape you? Welcome to the Blind Impact podcast, where we talk about and uncover those moments. Some funny, some sad, and some scary, but it's not always tragic. I hope you'll stay for a while.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Okay, so everybody, this is the Blind Impact, and today's guest is Kevin. And Kevin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Not too much. 42, originally from Jersey, live in Dallas, work in Dallas. That's about it.
Said cut and dry, huh?
That's it.
Cut and dry. Okay, so what story are you talking about today?
The story I'm talking about today is when I had to go to prison for an accident that I didn't cause.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Talk about a pivot.
Truly. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna let you start. You tell whatever you wanted to let us know, and I can't wait to hear this story though.
Just to give some context, I've never been in
Okay,
trouble a day in my life.
okay,
I made it prior to this all the way to 36 years old, never having contact with police officers or anything of the sort, court, nothing. So here I am in Texas. I lived in Denton at the time, well, Corinth, on the north side of Lake Louisville.
okay.
And I went out with to meet some friends down in Dallas just to have dinner. On the way home, it was about midnight. I wasn't under the influence of anything. I didn't have any drinks or anything when I was out for dinner. Out of nowhere, listening to music, going down I-35, doing 60, nothing above. It was just me and maybe four other cars on the road. It looked like construction was coming up. So I said, well, let me get off because the traffic was backing up and I'll take the service road across the lake.
Okay.
So out of nowhere, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, well, what the hell was that? So I get off on the service road and like I could feel my tire almost going flat. Like it went down. The pressure came out, the light came on in the car. So I
Okay.
pull up side and I'm trying to see, what is that? So I walk back and I didn't see anything. So I'm like, well, maybe it was a deer. It got up and ran. I don't know what it was. So I continued on. I checked my tire. I had enough to get home until I can check it and some light and went on home. The next day, I'm looking on the news and they're talking about this accident that happened where my tire popped.
Okay.
So they gave a description of the car and everything, so it's mine. So I said, well, let me call in. I didn't, know what's going on. What did I hit? Come to find
Right.
out, I hit a person. I hit a person that was moving their motorcycle from the median on the fast lane, third lane.
Uh-huh.
They were walking their motorcycle. Their battery went on it, and he was walking it across I-35 to get off on the service road, and I ended up hitting him. Turned out to be a police
Wow.
officer from Oklahoma.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So now here I am in utter shock, having to turn myself in and this, that, and the other. They didn't say it was a hit and run. They gave me a charge, an accident with a personal injury. Never heard of it. Because
Okay.
again, mind you, never been in trouble a day
Right.
in my life. So I'm like, I got to get a lawyer. I got to figure out what I need to do. I had full coverage insurance and everything. Gave them all my information. But I ended up having to go to prison. They sentenced me to 3 years.
Okay, I'm gonna have to interrupt this part. So, okay, so you are driving, minding your own business, just
Mm-hmm.
driving down, and you don't see anything. There's no obstructions whatsoever, in your distance or even up close. And then you hear something that sounds like you've run over something, a deer, maybe a pop tire, but you get to wherever your destination was, and there's no damage to your vehicle. Like you don't notice anything. You're like nothing's standing out to you, right? But you
There,
get this.
there was a little bit of damage, like on the front,
Okay.
right side, passenger side, and the tire
Okay.
was going out. I could hear the air coming out.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I
So I
to say
walked
that
back
I'm
to
shocked.
see, and I see nothing. Mind you, it's pitch black out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you call in because you're concerned. You say, okay, this matches my vehicle description. Let me call in. So when you called in, what did you expect to happen? Like, having not been in trouble and there's no records for you whatsoever in the system, and you call in trying to do the right thing. What were you expecting with that?
I was expecting for them to get my insurance to take care of anything that the person needed,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I felt responsible and I felt like I was doing the right thing by calling
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, listen, I had a situation over there. This is what I thought it was. What's going on?"
So when you spoke to the representative, did it appear that they believed what you were saying? Like, were they like, "Oh, wow, this is a good thing he's doing," and let's try to help to make sure that things don't go south, or was it just like, oh, like business as usual for them?
It was business as usual because I spoke to a police
Okay.
officer. I called the
Okay.
Louisville police station and let them know, "Hey, I just saw the news. It gave the description of my vehicle, license plate. I'm calling to see what's going on." And they took my information, my name, my phone number, and then we'll call you back, if everything matches up and ask you to come in. I said, "Okay, no problem." Mind you, my grandmother died in the midst of this, so I had to fly to New Jersey.
Okay.
They thought I was on the run, was not. They called me while I was in New Jersey on my phone because, mind you, I gave them my information
Right.
and I told them what was going on and when I would be back. And no problem, I'll come up to the police station. But they were telling me I was
But
going to get locked up if I came up there.
oh, oh, okay. So now you're on the run in their eyes, in the midst
Exactly.
of this.
Exactly.
Okay, and they gave you an opportunity to come back to Texas,
Correct.
like with okay, and so you eventually come back after you take care of everything with with your grandmother, and you go to the police station, and then what takes place at this point?
At that point, I have a lawyer with me.
Okay,
My lawyer did whatever he did and found out that they were going to lock me down for a couple of minutes. So
okay,
I was able to pay my bail prior to going there.
okay.
So when I got there, they, stripped me down.
Mhm.
Said I was being charged with the accident with a personal injury and put me in the
Mm,
cell. I was in the cell for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they let me go.
okay. So you go home. And what are you thinking now? Like you're out. You're out. You know there's some prosecution to take place, I'm sure, right?
Correct.
So you go home and you stay out for about how long?
A year.
Okay.
Every 30 days, we went to court, myself and my lawyer with me, and they kept pushing it back, pushing it back, pushing it back, pushing it back, until we got down to maybe 11 months, 10 months, and that's when they were talking about jail time at that time. My lawyer was telling me that I'm not going to be able to not go to jail,
Okay.
and he didn't know for how long. If we took it to trial, then they would try to give me 10 years versus whatever I would get if I took a plea bargain. Because that's the route that they
Oh,
always take.
it is. It is.
And my conversation with
Wow.
my lawyer is like, well, why would all of this be going on? Mind you, I've never been in trouble a day in my life. 36 years old at that point.
Mhm. Yep.
I'm like, well, why, isn't probation or something, can't we think of something else? Community service?
Sure.
What's going on?
Something other than prison time.
Correct. So I guess it was
And
a scare tactic for him to keep telling me I need to take the plea, take the plea, take the plea. And then we got to November of 2017,
okay.
and the 17th, that's when I got put in jail.
With no warning.
No
I mean,
warning at
I
all.
mean, I am. I really am at a loss for words, and
You.
it's. I mean, it's a good thing that you had a lawyer. You were able to afford your bond or your bail bond.
Yep.
Okay,
Bond.
okay, your bond. So even with this lawyer, even with having this attorney, there wasn't a lot that could have been done. And I'm almost wondering, like, what was it that they felt so pressed about with trying to close this case? And like there was no, I guess there wasn't a need for an investigation, obviously, because you came forward about it. But did they speak to the officer? Like what? I have
I
so
don't.
many questions.
I don't. I do too. Still to this day, it's been what 6 or 7 years since.
My goodness.
But I had questions at that point too. I've never spoke to the so-called victim, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
because he was from Oklahoma, he was a police officer out there who was happened to be down here on vacation. His motorcycle broke down. That's all I know. Now I know that he lost a leg in this accident, and he had to
Oh.
retire from being a police officer. He's now in a wheelchair bound.
Oh my
So I think that
goodness.
was part of the having to be sentenced and him wanting something to be done
Right. Yeah.
versus
He
me
needed to.
being sued personally and civilly because my
Hmm.
insurance, again, I had full coverage insurance. They paid him out. I think I had $100,000 bodily uh,
Okay.
harm.
Wow. Well, first off, I feel like you're owed an apology for that, having to even go through that, right? And you're not denying that it took place. You're unaware that it took place, but you knew that you hit something, right? But
Right.
it it just seems so unwarranted just to even have even being an accident. You have to still be punished, and like you say, it probably has everything to do with that guy needing to feel compensated. And it's unfortunate that he experienced that also. But I just kind of feel like you were left with just more questions than necessary, and it just kind of was like they just kind of just were trying to get you through the process so it can be over and done.
Right.
And then you have to spend 3 years in prison.
I actually ended up spending 1 year.
Oh,
But when I got to the prison, I was able to meet with parole the week after I got there.
okay,
Met a nice lady. Her name was Mrs. Barrett.
okay,
And I gave her my situation straight out. I've never lied. I'm not into lying and stuff like that because it
right.
comes with too much behind it after the lies too.
It does.
So I told her what was going on. She saw my rep sheet. She's parole. She said, "Baby, you got one sheet." She said, "The people in here got a whole folder full, sometimes two." She said, "You're not supposed to be in here. I'm gonna get you out of here."
Wow.
So
Wow.
after I saw her, maybe a week later, they gave me paperwork saying, let me know what date I was leaving.
Oh my goodness.
Blessed. Do you
I
hear me?
truly, truly, truly blessed because I don't know a lot of people that have been incarcerated for anything. Well, I mean, yeah, or anybody, honestly. Well, one person, I'll just say that, and now you too. But it's like it's it's like you don't encounter those type people in the system, like because everybody has a story. They're like blah blah blah. We know, we've seen it, but you're in here, so you must be guilty of something. And so fortunately, it looks God obviously stepped in, right? And he sent that lady there, and she was able to help you through that. She's able to see you for who you were and not just some sort of like common criminal.
I love that
And,
lady. The way that it went in that after I saw parole, I had to do that the rest of the year until I
okay.
got out. I knew I was getting out in November. They gave me the date. Um, Somehow I ended up working in the library that was there at the
Ooh,
jailhouse. I was kind of, what I mean? It was an okay experience. I was in prison, but for me to have been in prison as somebody that's never been there a day in their life and that type of person or been around those type of people, I
Mm-hmm.
made out okay.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Jeez. What a story.
I'm telling you, but that's what brought me to where I am today.
And I love your disposition about this whole entire thing because you really could have become some bitter individual, just hating the world, hating police officers, and just hating just the criminal system, justice system in general, like a lot of people do because of bad experiences. But it seems like you were able to you encountered some positivity there with Mrs. Barron, and then possibly even your attorney, for
My attorney was a bit of a, I think he was a money grabber, is what I'm going to call him.
mm,
He just, wanted the case because he knew that I was going to pay. I bartended and drove a school bus
mm,
for that whole year just to pay him $6,800 cash money. Every time I
mm,
came there, at cash
mm,
money, I was hustling,
mm,
doing what I had to do because that's how I was raised.
mhm.
And I think, having that spirit inside of me was is what gave me the strength to
Right.
pull through all of this and not be some nutcase out here still
Yeah.
committing crime.
Jeez. Still committing crimes.
I'm a
And
good person.
oh yeah, yeah. I honestly believe that, because and even if I had not met you, I would, if you just decided to become a guest on this show, just via email, I would be inclined to believe that just based on the fact that you took it upon yourself to contact the police and say, "Hey, look, I this could possibly be me."
Yeah, because I was scared. I said I need to
Yeah.
call up here and see what's going on because I did have no idea what I hit. I'm telling you, none at all. I'm like, what the hell could that have been to do this to my tire? And my little
Hmm.
fender was bent a little bit. So I said, what the hell?
Oh my goodness.
And boom, it was a
Oh my.
person.
Jeez. So how did I mean after once you found out that you did hit a person, did you how did that leave you feeling?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I felt bad. I felt really bad for him, and especially after I found out what happened to him as far as him losing
Mhm.
a limb. You know what I mean? My heart sunk. I couldn't breathe for a couple of moments because I
Mhm.
could have killed him.
Yeah.
It could have been completely worse.
Yeah.
And I kind of look
Yeah.
at the situation, not saying that I'm some nutcase that's in the streets, but I kind of was living fast. So I took it as maybe the creator is trying to tell me to slow down.
Yeah. Yep. That's absolutely definitely one way to look at it. And like you say, things could have been worse because now you're looking at vehicular homicide.
I'm tired, yes, ma'am. And I wouldn't
Yep.
wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
Oh, you would not be, but I would have found you, I'm sure, and I would have come to that prison.
Some way, somehow.
But I definitely would have. I just so do you find yourself like experiencing PTSD or anything like that?
My mom asked me this yesterday. Actually, do I
Mhm.
have nightmares about the situation? I don't. I don't,
Okay.
because I went to
Okay.
a place where I had to forgive myself
Yeah.
because I did
Yep.
feel guilty. I don't know
Yeah.
what of, but
Yeah. I
uh,
mean, just causing somebody injury, but I it seems hard to fit some sort of like emotion inside of the situation just because it wasn't something that you were aware of. And I think just because you are human, and I think it's human nature to experience those emotions, but it's like you can feel guilty, and then some people just can feel guilty and just stay in that guilty place, and it creates such a deep depression for them, and because they don't know how to get out of it. And like
right,
you just said it perfectly, it's like I felt guilty, but I didn't know what of, right? S- so fortunately, you've got a strong enough mind to be able to know that, hey, look, I have to be able to forgive myself, and you've got God's grace for sure, right there with you in that. And so you're able to forgive yourself and to move on, and move forward in life. And so like you've progressed, and you still sound positive, which
When I
is
got pulled away from my life and put into this cage, so to speak, a
mm,
social cage, actually, I was determined. I had just had it in my mind when you get out of here, you have to hit the ground running because I wanted to
yes.
keep the status that I had in society. I didn't want to come down because you look down upon once you've been in prison.
Hmm.
You're held back from a lot of things, and I just didn't want to be looked at as that. So I said, Kevin, when you get out of here, this is what you're going to do. I had a plan,
Okay.
and I stayed fast on it, and here I am.
Wow. Yeah, that's the level of importance of having a plan when you're in such an environment, which I know had to be unpredictable in there. Like you didn't know what you were getting into going into that
Oh, I had
place.
to fight and everything.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
see
I watched people get beat up. I was harassed by the guards and stuff like that. And
what?
yeah, yes, you're in prison.
Wow.
You're locked up with I'm not going to call them animals, but they are, a species of some
Hmm.
sort, let me say. Uh, I don't know how I did it. I truly don't know. Like, I just gelled with people, the people that were around me and stuff like that. I mean, but again, I had to fight because people want to test
Mm.
you. Here's this guy from New Jersey nobody knows, nobody grew up with. Like, those
Hmm.
dudes grew up with each other.
Right.
They're in jail together. They sold drugs together. They did this together. They robbed people, blah, blah, blah. I
And
knew
here
no
you
one.
are, first time.
First time ever. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I don't know what to do. They got me in this all white like I'm going to heaven. What? I said, Lord, please don't let me die in here.
Oh my goodness. So what were the guards harassing you about? Like I can't understand. Like what were they wanting from you?
Because I wasn't like the other people. I wasn't in there trying to holler at the female guards. I wasn't giving them problems. You know what I mean? I was kind of like quiet because I
Oh,
worked at the library, so I would be reading and stuff like that when I would come back to my where I had to
yourself?
sleep in the cell with my
Mm.
bunkmate and stuff like that. And he would just ask me to bring him books and stuff. Me and him was cool,
Okay, that's good because that would be
but
hard to not be.
yeah. But it was just
Oh,
tests, you know what I'm saying? I'm a guy around all of these
yeah.
alpha males and stuff like that. I'm not gonna call myself an alpha male. I'm not. I'm just
Hmm.
a regular person.
Right.
So they wanted to test me.
Wow.
And I told myself, I said, you can't let these people get the best of you when you get in here.
No, you can't because then at that point, like if you're in there fighting, don't they extend your sentence?
They
Or
extend your
you get
sentence if you fight or get a tattoo, because they were doing all of that in there too.
wow.
I got a couple tattoos while I was there. Eight to be exact.
But your sentence didn't get extended. I see, right? Oh
No,
my
I was lucky.
goodness.
I was lucky.
Wow. So you made a friend or a couple in there, or at least, inmate friends, I guess, enough to be able to do your tattoos. So do you pay for things like that with like commissary?
You pay in the commissary, cookies, soups, ice cream,
Okay.
tortilla chips, bags of beans, refried beans. They sell bags of barbecue chicken, stuff like that, high ticket items.
Really?
Yeah,
Bags of chicken.
yeah, barbecue
Like
chicken.
already cooked?
Already cooked in barbecue sauce, yep.
Well, so where do you keep something like that?
Apparently, it's a non-perishable because it doesn't come cold or anything like that. And they have a
Okay.
locker underneath each bunk, and you lock it up in there. And they have
Okay. So
piping hot
this
water that comes out of a faucet in the middle of the room, and you put that in a bowl, and then stick the bag of the chicken inside that water, and
in a
that'll
hot
heat
pot.
up. Yeah,
Oh.
a mess.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So okay, so the locker thing is true. I can't I heard a story, and this is not something you have to answer if you don't like, but I heard that they have something called it's like like kite mail or something kites, but it's like if you're communicating with somebody that lives adjacent, right, or a few doors down, like there's a system where you can float a kite, and it's on some sort of string that I don't know how they acquire it, but you fold this note and you have to be able to get it directly in proximity of whoever that particular that's this, not your cellmate, but whoever the other inmate is, right? And so if the guards catch it, then they retrieve it, and then somebody's put into the shoe.
Yep.
But they said that one the other way, and if you want to do it to keep from being caught, is you flush it down a toilet,
Yep.
and I guess they call it fishing.
Yep. And you
Okay.
stick your hand, because you can stick your hand all the way in the back of the toilet. That's where they hide the wine and stuff that they make. They hide it in
Mm.
a bag in the thing in the toilet, inside the toilet. Because you can stick your hand back there. So when they flush the toilet upstairs, it's all connected. You can stick your hand in
Yeah.
there and grab the note
Or the food or the
or
wine.
the wine. They used to steal the fruit cups from the cafeteria. They call it the chow hall.
Okay.
And that's what they would use to make the liquor. They would ferment that, put it in a plastic bag, because you get plastic bags when you get your commissary. And
Mm.
they would take and tie something on it and stick it down the toilet and let it ferment.
Wow. I wonder how long that process is.
A couple weeks.
Oh, okay. You're
That's
like,
if you
I
don't
know.
get.
Wow. What an experience. I
It
just
was. It was. My mother and I were just talking about it last night, actually.
so how'd your mom do with you being there? Because like, do
She
you
was
have siblings
devastated.
or?
She
Oh
was
yeah.
devastated. I have three sisters, a set of twins, one underneath of them, and I'm the youngest, the only boy.
I knew it. I might have known.
So my mom was
Dang.
devastated, dad devastated, because I've never been in trouble, always straight laced.
Hmm.
I did dirt, and I'm not saying I was holier than thou,
Yeah. Who hasn't?
but I did stuff. You're a teenager, and then I was in my 20s clubbing, so,
And
but I wasn't
in New
bad.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they were devastated. My mom didn't know what to do. She ended up calling the warden and all of that at the prison after she found out where I was.
Okay.
And that's how I was working in the library. I think she had a hand in that.
Has she admitted to that?
No, she hasn't.
Ooh.
She kind of stays quiet when I talk about it and just tells me how proud of me she is for coming out on the
Oh,
other
jeez.
side.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy. And I'm sure your dad's not talking about it either. It's probably tough.
No, no, he doesn't say anything about it at all.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, that's a moment where you truly, as a parent, you find yourself just feeling just absolutely helpless. And
That's when the knees
especially,
hit the pavement. Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Yeah, and they know your character, and it's like, I'm sure, I guess they're still living in New Jersey, but it's like, how do you how do you give a character witness to somebody for somebody who's in a completely different state? Like, you can't advocate because they're not gonna believe you. Like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. Like, he's committed this crime, whether he knew or didn't know, is
Hmm.
this these are the facts, and he's got to be
Yep.
punished for it. And it's just
Yep.
like, I wish that I really do wish that sometimes there are people who had like the better intentions of people who are new to the system, right? Because people do snap, but that wasn't your case. It wasn't the case for you. So it's like there should be some sort of like amendments. Something should be able to be done to have a shorter sentence, a little maybe less severe punishment. And I'm sure people are going to disagree with me on that, but that's how I feel. If you're a
I
first
mean,
time
but things
offender,
happen. Everything that happens isn't a crime either. You know what I mean?
right?
Stuff happens.
Yes, like accidents.
I don't feel like exactly, and I don't understand how I have a charge
Hmm.
that is called accident with a personal injury. Never in my life. And when I spoke to a prosecutor, not a prosecutor, but a lawyer
Hmm.
on my main job that I have, and he
Hmm.
was dumbfounded too. Like, I've never heard of that.
See, and I'm curious to find out if that's even a legitimate charge.
A
I mean, I
legit.
I
That's what my
yeah,
question is. Is why is it
yeah.
a legitimate felony and $4,500 for me to get it taken off of my record? Why?
Mm, 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 mm.
You remember getting got that laying around.
Yeah, yeah, just to have it expunged. I wonder if your attorney had any part in that, because a lot of the times the prosecution and the defense, like a lot of them, they work hand in hand, and people don't know that. But
I feel like
it's
they're
been
getting a cut.
they do, they do. They really do. And it's so sad and just makes it, you already just have such a distrust for the system as it is. And then to find yourself in the middle of it and having to depend on somebody who you don't know. And you obviously, you don't want to trust them, but you don't know enough as far as legalese is concerned. Right. So it's like, how do you push forward in defending yourself when you know nothing about it?
Right, that's the hardest part. And the lawyer, they just care how big your purse is. They don't care
That's
about what you
it.
know.
That's it. Because most of the time, like if they're taking notes about your case, they're doodling on that legal pad. Nothing pertaining to the situation at all,
Mm-mm.
at all. Yeah, that's super frustrating. But I'm so happy that you were able to see a different side of things, and you were able to just move forward in the situation in a positive way, and you definitely have found your way outside of it, and I'm glad that it didn't leave you too marred. But I mean, that's an experience that you that's an experience that you are going to live with for the rest of your life, and you'll be able to tell everybody you encounter if you choose to. That story, and I have so many questions though. Like I said earlier, still like about just like the whole inside experience. The fact that you got to work in that library, Kevin, I mean, is it's exciting to me. Like I I really enjoy like libraries and books, and the fact that you were in there, I mean, it
I
means
loved
that
it. I
you had
learned so much. I learned so
yeah,
much. The librarian, she was a very nice lady, African American female. She was
okay,
around my age.
okay,
You know, she was very nice to me and the other guys that worked in there. She brought us food from outside.
wow,
In the holidays, she brought me, candy for Halloween and stuff like that. Things that we wouldn't normally be able to get. Donuts, kolaches in the morning. Pigs in the blanket.
yeah.
I love that lady.
I mean, yeah, she obviously loved you too, and that
I think
because
she
I mean,
saw me.
yeah,
You know.
yep, that's exactly right. Exactly right. You in there with with your head down, just trying to do your job. I mean, and how you're describing certain things, it just doesn't. I don't get the prison feel. So you definitely had it pretty made in there, for the experience, unfortunately. But kolaches
Right.
and Halloween candy. Did you have
Right.
costume in them?
Who?
Did you get
The
to dress up
inmates?
and? Uh huh.
No, they wasn't letting us do that. We had to stay in them white uniforms so they could, tell everybody,
Yeah.
so they could
Yeah.
knew who each other person was. You weren't allowed to run because they would think that you were trying to escape and they would shoot you. So there was like
Okay.
there's no running during exercising and stuff like that. You could walk around the little track that they had, but you better not run.
So on the yard, you couldn't run.
Nope, no running.
What?
I was in Bonham, Texas. Bonham,
Oh, okay.
right,
Okay.
right on the border.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I wonder why there.
I don't know. I don't know. When I was in the county first after I left court.
Uh-huh.
They had me in there for about 3 to 4 months, and then I did the year in prison in Bonham, Texas, on the border of Texas and Oklahoma. Out there in the country, nothing was around us. All the officers
Mm-hmm.
would be on horses and stuff.
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
felt
what
like
I
a real life
envisioned.
slave.
Yeah,
The movie Life.
yeah, the movie life.
That's
And
how it
did you
was.
let somebody have your cornbread?
Hell no.
Okay.
You let them have your cornbread, you're gonna have to give up something else too.
Man,
You get on my
wow.
nerves.
What an interesting turn of events here.
Yeah,
Didn't
that's
see
hey, that's my life. That's what made me who I am. Hello.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. I love that for you, and I like how you're just embracing it. So, is this something? Do you feel like you get to? Are you comfortable at this point with sharing that story with just anybody, or like how does that come up in conversation? Like if anybody asks you.
Um, I don't care, because it might help somebody.
Yeah,
Uh, it
yeah.
usually doesn't come up in conversation. Sometimes it does, and if it does, I just answer the questions truthfully.
Yeah, you're so honest about it. Yeah. I mean, and it does help. It does help that you don't have that criminal background too. So, and it's just kind of unbelievable. From what I'm still replaying in my mind you telling that story at the top of the show, and it just seems like just trying to grasp it. So I'm glad that you've been able to, you know.
Yeah, that's what now I have to work jobs that accept people with a background because I haven't paid
Mm,
the money to get it expunged. It's
right.
considered a felony.
Yeah.
I'm thankful to the two jobs that took me in and actually saw me,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
provided paperwork
Absolutely.
for them to let them know that it was just an accident with the personal injury and what happened.
Okay.
So it's nothing but the creator opening that
Yeah.
doors for me.
Yeah. Truly, truly, truly is. I mean, so do you find is it difficult with having that on your record? Do you find it difficult in like other areas of just trying to live, like
It
outside
is.
of
It's a
jobs?
hindrance on me as far as jobs, apartment.
Hmm. Yeah.
I got denied from some apartments until I found the one that would take me in because I explained
Hmm.
my situation to them. They were willing to help me
Okay.
because it's non-violent. It's not like I assaulted anybody. I didn't try to murder anybody. I haven't sold any drugs.
Right.
So it's good people out here that gave me a chance.
There is, and I think with you having gone through that experience, I think it would be a good idea for you to start some sort of advocacy, right? Like some sort of nonprofit um program for people in your same situation or something similar, right? That is going to help us to see that people with a felony on the record do deserve second chances. And
Yeah,
I feel like we've got a little bit of it out there, but I don't think there's enough of it out there, right? And
we're
of course
people
it's going to
too,
be
and we want to survive. We want to be,
right.
members of society that aren't looked down upon.
Yes.
And I pride
Yes.
myself on that because I don't want anybody looking at me like I'm less than.
Right. And they shouldn't, because I mean it's not fair. And then especially if they don't know your story. Like there's no
Right.
need for it.
Exactly.
There's not one single need for it. Um so is there anything else you want to add to your story? Anything you might have left out?
No, that's pretty much it. That's the
That's the gist of
beans
it,
and
huh?
franks of it.
Beans and Franks. Okay,
Hmm.
so I mean, everything you've already answered that I was going to ask you. Do you feel like though this last question? Do you feel like in your experience, is there anything that you wish you could have changed or you wish would have been different?
I wish that I never went out that night. I
Hmm.
wish that all of this could have been avoided in some way. I wish that I had known ahead that something was going to happen, a feeling in my stomach or something that would have made me stay home.
Hmm.
Because I was already on a good path. I was already on the path, you know what I mean, that my life was supposed to take. And then here comes this fork in the road, and it changed my life forever.
Yeah. Yes,
So
it has.
I wish it wouldn't have happened. But it is what it is. It was a lesson, and you keep
Yeah.
getting up, like my grandfather used to say.
Your grandfather. You're right. It's definitely listen. I want to hear about your grandfather sometime. I know
Okay.
this about this man. So you're gonna have to come back on and tell us about his story and everything that you learned from him, or a couple different segments. It's up to you. We can drag it out, but I know it's gonna be something interesting, and I can't wait to I can't wait to hear about that.
I
But
can't, no
Kevin,
problem.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to
No
do
problem.
it.
Thank you for
And
having me.
you're absolutely welcome, sir. And I hope that you will come back on and we can talk a little bit more about Kevin.
I will. One more point before we go. I hope
Yes, sir.
this helps somebody. I hope one of your listeners is listening. It may not be them that has an ear to this conversation, but maybe you can go back and give somebody the motivation from this in your life, your family, friend, coworker, whoever, and maybe they'll be able to keep getting up to.
Oh, that's awesome, Kevin. And you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody needs that kind of motivation out there and the support. So if you
Yeah.
guys know anybody, if you know anybody, like Kevin said, don't be afraid to share this episode, share the podcast, share his story, and just make sure that we are all out there supporting one another and never judge anybody because you don't know that person's story.
There you
You
go.
really don't. You really don't. So, Kevin, thank you again. And this has been the Blind Impact, guys. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, Kevin, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of The Blind Impact. If you like the show, please rate, subscribe, review, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. If you have a story you'd like to tell, please email me at theblindImpact@gmail.com. Or if you have a story you'd like to have read here by me, please include those details in the email or the voice message. Thank y'all, and remember, it's not always tragic.